Drills Talk, episode 149. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 4 reasons to do what works for you. This is based on a blog I wrote in the past entitled Do What Works. We tend to complicate things, overcomplicate things, and try to figure out what this person did, what that person did to get where they are today. But we can't. There's no fast track. There's no copying anybody else's journey. You have to be on your own. You have to do what works for you. And I'm going to go over 4 ways, 4 reasons, because that is the way you are going to get where you want to get to. Let's go. Yo, Drills. Drills Talk, episode 149. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 4 reasons to do what works for you. But before we get started, please like, subscribe, show your love however you would like to show your love. Here we are, entrepreneurship/mindset motivation channel. Every Monday, we have a new blog. Every Wednesday, there's a new Drills Talk. Glad you're joining me. Please hit that subscribe button. Stick with me. Check in on me every now and then. Leave a comment. Ask me a question. Whatever it is that you would like to do, please do so. Feel welcome. Let's get started. Number 1. Number 1 is you can't mimic someone's journey. As much as we want to try, as much as we see that it worked for them, as much as we see that, hey, I saw the steps that they went through, I saw their maturation, I remember when they were starting, that's their journey. You don't know the whole road. You don't know the whole story. You cannot mimic their journey. I know that there are plenty of gurus out there that's going to tell you exactly what they did step by step. That is their story. Some of the things may work for you, but you cannot, by any means, go through exactly what they went through and have the same things break your way that broke their way. It's just not going to happen. So we need to get that out of our minds that I saw this person go through this. I read this book. This person did this. These are the steps they took, and those are the steps I'm going to take. It's very hard to mimic anything, let alone someone's journey who you only know what's being shared. You know, everyone wants to tell their story, but no one tells 100% of the story. And even if they did and you knew the things that occurred then for them, the chances that they occur in that same order for you are very slim. So understand that although reading other people's journeys or reading about other people's success may be a help, it is not something that can be copied. So understand that we're reading that just to know that it can be done, not how to do it. There's no answer sheet. Number 2. Number 2 is you gain the skill of connecting experiences. Now, this is something a lot of us overlook. We just don't connect things in our past that can help us in our future or with our future. In the blog I touch on, we tend to have a little issue with grasping onto something in the past that's going to help us with the future. And that's because we don't see identical issues or identical scenarios in our life. But if we gain the skill of connecting our experiences, we can see, oh, well, I've had money issues before. Me moving to another city and needing to budget is not that big a deal because when I lost that money a couple years ago, I had to rebudget and I lived. I was able to do it. So I can transfer that experience to this experience and saying, oh, well, I don't have an idea of exactly how much my expenses will be, probably until a month or 2 out, but I know how to budget. So what I can do is I can set a budget and I can maybe bump everything up 10, 15% higher than I think it will be. If I can stick to that budget and it comes in any lower, I now have money in my pocket. I can spend that. I can save that. I can invest that. That's how you take something that occurred in the past and have it help you in the future. This is a skill that you gain by doing what works for you. That worked for you. You can't say, oh, well, such and such lost money and then they learned to budget. But yeah, they learned to budget. And you don't know what they did to stick to that budget, but you know what you did to stick to yours. And you can do that same thing again in that new city with that new rent or mortgage and those new utility bills. You see, you get the picture that you don't want to try to mimic what somebody else did. You want to take what you did, knowing that it worked for you, and redo it over and over again to become the best person that you can possibly become. Number 3. Number 3 is you need to pull from the past. So if you don't have that experience that you can pull on right now, You need to give yourself that experience. So if you don't have something that, oh, well, I did this before, you may be very young, maybe in your early 20s or maybe in your early 30s or maybe even early 40s, but never went through anything difficult that you can pull on. It's time to go in and embrace those difficult things, because it's going to be needed in the future. You're going to need to be able to pull on something and say, man, how can I possibly do this? And see yourself in the past doing something that is hard. Seeing yourself in the past doing something that you thought that you would not be able to get through. And the earlier, the better. Imagine being in your mid 30s or your early 40s and knowing that you can pull on, things that you did in your early 20s and up until that day to use with other things that come up in life. It's a great benefit, and you know that you can do it because it was you who did it. Not some story you read, not some movie you saw, not somebody else's story where they only tell you the good part. This is something that you did. You know the good, the bad, the ugly. You know that it was tough. You know what you had to do to overcome that, and you can do it again. So if you are one of those people who don't have much to pull on in the past, start now. Start giving yourself some experience so you can know, okay, well, if this happens next year or something happens next year, I know I did this hard thing. I know I figured this out. And maybe you can't figure it out for yourself. You can't do it by yourself the first time. So maybe you do need to ask a few people. Maybe you do need to read about how someone else in that situation did it. But again, you're going to have to do it yourself. You can get the help. You can get the assistance or maybe a little peek behind the curtain. But as far as who's doing the work, as far as who's going to have to make the most change, it's going to be you. But it's worth it because, again, it's something that you can put in your pocket and pull out when you need it. Number 4. Number 4 is it simplifies a complicated world. We make things very difficult on ourselves when we try to live the lives of someone else. Again, only knowing some of the story. Depending on ourselves makes things simple because we know that when we look in the mirror, that's who's going to make it happen. And really, it always comes down to that. So you can have great friends, you can have great family, you can have someone who wants to do it for you. But the best thing to do would be to figure it out for yourself, because that simplifies everything. You figured it out for yourself. You know what works for you. You can mimic that. Now, of course, you can be in the position to where, oh, well, this worked for me. But you have the knowledge now to tell that person, well, it worked for me. There's no guarantee it'll work for you. But you can, dig deep into yourself and ask yourself, how am I going to overcome this? This is what so-and-so did. Drills told me that this is what he did in this situation. It's not exactly my situation, but I see that what he did to overcome it was to spend time with himself, really dig down deep and see what his strengths and weaknesses were and how he can use those strengths to overcome the situation. Now, yes, you can do that, but your strengths and weaknesses are not going to be the same. And what strength you choose to overcome that will not be the same. So understand that every journey is independent and is about that individual. So don't try to mimic it. You can use it as a helper, as a guide, but it all comes down to you. Let's simplify our lives. It's not worth going crazy trying to live the life of someone else. We can do the work, and the benefit of doing the work is that we can then pocket that and reuse it in the future and know that we can do it because it was us that did it. Drills Talk, episode 149. These are the top 4 reasons to do what works for you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's drills.com. Check this shit out. It's Drills.